So it has arrived at long last, another chapter in the Descendants franchise, as on the 12th of July we got Descendants: The Rise of Red, which it's pretty much Descendants 4, but since none of the OG 4 are actually in the film beyond a brief photo, I think it's fair enough to rebrand it as sort of an anthology type of thing. But yeah, I'll be honest, coming into this I was sort of expecting it to majorly suck. I mean, the first 3 films, I still don't understand why I like them so much and why they're so popular. They are some of the most cheaply made films I've ever seen in the modern era, with wacky scripts and goofy acting, some really bad CGI. But beneath it all, it ties together and manages to work in the strangest way. And so you get a film that's far greater than the sum of its parts. But with a new cast and some distance between releases, I just didn't think it was likely we're going to see that replicated with The Rise of Red. But honestly, they've managed it here. I legit thought this movie was so much fun and well worth my 80 minutes or so. So hell yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, so we start off the film, as we start off all Descendants films, with some narration, some exposition, overlaid over some CGI, and how it looks like they bumped up the budget somewhat for this new era. Because this cool map sequence where Uma recaps everything is actually well done for what we're looking at. I mean, remember in the previous films? Wacky dragons, cringe fire effects, Ben the Beast. Oh, Ben the Beast! Although that might have been a wacky costume and not CGI, but now all I can think about is the OG trilogy, and when he went full cringe lord and they kept having Ben do all these beast moments and he's like, "Roar!" Oh, so cringe. When he roars and jumps off the yacht, that's seared into my brain forever. And so they've written off Jay, Evie, and the royal couple by saying they're sailing off on a quest to form alliances with distant lands, which, sure, but what lands? I thought everybody was already here. Isn't that the point of Auradon? That it united all the fairy tales? No? Okay, doesn't matter much. It's for the sake of the plot, and we'll roll with it. And apparently they've left Uma in charge of the school. Although, the way this narration and later dialogue is framed, it kind of implies the high school is not only a high school, but also the head of government, so she's just in charge in general. Is this true? They need to start having some elections in Auradon. This place is clearly not well run. But yeah, now Uma is the new headmaster of the high school, and I have to ask, do they even have school on the Isle of the Lost? What are her qualifications? Does she have a background in school administration? I feel like it's a pretty important role. There seems to be no other school of note in the entire kingdom. I mean, imagine being the deputy headmaster and you're waiting in the wings for the fairy godmother to move on, only for this random villain with no experience to be given the job because she's friends with the king and queen. That's rough, buddy. Also, the fairy godmother is becoming the head of the university. The university, yes, that's right, one exists. So is there actually any good reason as to why Beast abdicated to his son when his son had not only not completed college, but had actually not graduated from high school yet? And yet he's named the undisputed autocratic king. I feel like there needs to be stricter standards in place, right? No? Anyway, Uma's first big declaration is that all children are allowed to attend Auradon Academy, or whatever it's called. Even characters from Wonderland, which is a place that refused to join Auradon and tried to invade at one point, causing it to be locked off like the Isle of the Lost. And of course, we've never heard about it until this time. But yeah, Uma decides that that's the right thing to do, and that not only that, but it's what Carlos would have wanted. Just your casual reminder that that guy's dead. Man, way to throw off my groove. Also, just casually baiting your audience into feeling goddamn sad right in the first couple of minutes. But I do think that they acknowledged his death in a pretty classy way. They didn't go into detail or anything like that, they just acknowledged it. Man, I'm sad now. But they send off the letter to Wonderland, and once again, I gotta say, these design choices, the CGI and all, it's so much better. You love to see it, and then we come to our first song, and the song itself, it's good, but I couldn't stop laughing throughout the whole thing. Like, she starts off dramatic, strutting through the town, and then she chucks a water balloon filled with paint at her mum's tapestry or whatever before the guards arrive, and instead of trying to chase her down, they just dance at her. It's so dumb, but so good. Oh, also their leader is a lost Targaryen, it feels like. Look at that wig, it's just so bad. But when it looks like all hope is lost and she's about to get caught, and they're about to catch her, she gets snatched up by Maddox Hatter. Yes, Maddox. They're not even trying with that name. And yeah, he hints that there's more to her mother than meets the eye. Something more than just the crazy dictator. But yeah, this guy's a bit of a dummy because he listens to this abused kid talk about how her mum's evil and how she hates her, and how she wants her to turn into someone just like her, which Red doesn't want. And so he dangles hope to her with a time machine that he just finished that can take you through time to your heart's desire. But then he's like, oh, no, actually it could shatter space and time. Then bro, why would you even make this? What are you doing, son? But yeah, she steals it because of course she does, and he's an idiot. Otherwise there's no plot at all. We then move on to Cinderella's castle, where father and daughter are having a duel, and of course she beats him because adults in this franchise are largely useless, and then Cinderella comes out. Charming takes off his mask, and suddenly, I'm back in time! I'm back in primary school, I'm watching the classic Cinderella from the 90s, I'm sitting on those uncomfortable carpeted floors, lights off during the middle of the day, blinds closed, all of us kids crowded around one of those big black blocky TVs. You know, one of the ones with the stand as the teacher whips out the VHS tape. Oh... 2002! Where did you go? Where did you go? When did I get so old? And then they're dancing and singing. God damn, the nostalgia, you love to see it. And then Cinderella gives Chloe some really gaudy glass shoes. I mean, I guess they're cool, but I'm not feeling them, to be honest. And yeah, so the story's pretty much painting this character and her mum, and just their whole dynamic, as the complete opposite of Red and her mum. Also, they say she's going to be a queen someday. And I just have to ask, isn't there only one royal family still around? Isn't it established all the other ones gave up their crowns when Auradon was formed? Is that like not Audrey's whole deal and why she was angry? No? Also, Cinderella'sburg? Come on. Why would they name it that? Also, wasn't Chad from the original trilogy the son of Cinderella and Charming? Are there canonically more than one set of Cinderellas and Charmings, or is he the family failure that nobody wants to talk about? I choose to believe the latter. From here, it's back over to Wonderland to meet the Queen, she's looking very young for somebody who was in high school from before Auradon was ever formed, which is apparently meant to have happened 30 years prior to the movie. Guess she had access to that real good magic. Isn't Rita Ora like early 30s? This feels like a miscast, but whatever. We're gonna roll with it. Also, I gotta say, the costuming has been great. Looks way better for this film. Less cheap, except those Wonderland guards. Just, no. Those little hats they're wearing, that ain't it. I realize they're trying to get across this is supposed to be the cards from the OG animation, but it doesn't work. Also, that guy's wig is too distracting. And yeah, pretty much the mum is exactly like the cartoon version, except for her appearance. And it's probably not the greatest thing for a child to be raised by someone like this, because here she is encouraging her daughter to execute a guy for being bad at his job. Yikes. But he's saved by the bell, as at this point the letter turns up for Red to be invited to school. Although, I gotta ask, how does the Queen even know who Uma is? Wasn't she born on the Isle of the Lost? How would she know who this is, let alone that she was a pirate? Anyway, they accept the invitation, and we cut away to the Charmings once again. And well, shit, what do you know? Chad is mentioned! There's a Chad mention! Hooray! Bro's at college. So he's at college, she's in high school, she's gonna be the queen, he doesn't seem to be the king. So unless this family has some explaining to do, they're definitely skipping his ass in the line of succession. And fair, the dude is a dweeb and was part of a failed coup previously. Cringe. Also, look at this car they're sending him off to school in. My god, now that is old school. And then we get another song as Queen and Red drive up to Auradon. And yeah, the song's decent, at least until the guards start singing. It's like, pipe down, fellas. And it's here that our two protagonists meet for the first time. And the parents clearly have a lot of history. Chloe tries to break the ice with Red, with a pun, which is a very bold choice. A really bold choice, and it doesn't really pay off because puns can be very hit or miss, even with people who are social. But this random teen with a domineering mum, nah, she ain't having that. She insults her, calls her annoying, but you know, rude. And we move on, and then there's a rap segment, which usually in Descendants, I'll admit, I hate the rap segments because they're often bad, but I actually rather enjoyed this one. Honestly, for me, the soundtrack as a whole just genuinely slaps, so yeah. And we learn that the Queen became like this because of a mean prank. A prank. Seems a bit extreme to use a prank as a justification for becoming a tyrannical dictator who's willing to execute people at the drop of a hat, but you do you, Queen. You do you. Also, this scene definitely made me notice that Cinderella and the Queen of Hearts both dress up in those classic over-the-top Disney dresses to a school orientation, but everybody else is dressed normally. Very extra, but I love it. Does make Cinderella seem like a bit of a ridiculous hypocrite though, considering how young Cinderella seems to shun that kind of stuff, subscribe to eat the rich mentality, and is one step away from putting on a Russian fur hat and calling her friends comrade. And then from song to song. Jesus, almost 30 minutes in, nothing's happened yet, but it does pick up very soon, and these 30 minutes have been a lot of fun. But nothing happens here either. We have to wait a little bit more. And also Uma, the new principal, is so extra that she has a song introduction complete with her random goons doing flips and stuff as they walk down the runway chanting, Uma, Uma, Uma. And they do a rehash of What's My Name, which, you know, banger, no complaints there. And they build to this nice introduction, only for the Queen to launch a coup. Yikes, although I do have to say, it feels obvious this would probably happen. Isn't that why they only brought the kids in the first Descendants movie? Because the parents couldn't be trusted yet? I mean, Maleficent actually tries to do this exact same thing at the end of the first movie, so this is a failure from Uma. Pretty bad for her first day, but oh well, they're going to change time so everyone forgets. And so the coup is underway. Cinderella tries to talk some sense, but surprise, surprise, it doesn't work. Fun fact: mentally deranged and violent people do not like it when you disagree with them or tell them their opinions are wrong or otherwise invalid. Who would have thunk? Also, Cinderella's a badass regardless. That's my queen! Tells the Queen of Hearts to shove her orders up her ass and calls her a tyrant. I mean, she gets sentenced to death, but she's willing to die for her morals. Absolute Chad. Must run the family, honestly. Get it? Chad? Chad Charming? I'm sorry, I'll stop. Red then pulls out her little time machine clock thing and tries to go back to fix things, but Chloe pulls out her sword because, well, justice and all that, although you'd think she would have been watching and realized that everybody who had a sword earlier got absolutely clapped by the guards, but sure, go off. And so they go back in time, and we get a look at Fairy Godmother, and I tell you what, that is some good casting. Looks both similar to the older actress, but also to the one who played the daughter in the originals. I mean, it could be costuming and styling, but still, the casting. Good work. But yeah, we have a little bit of conflict here as Chloe wants to go back and save her mum, but Red wants to stay in the past and see what they can do to fix things. And honestly, Red is right. Chloe, I thought you were a nerd. How aren't you grasping that if you're in the past, then the future is frozen because it can't move forward because you are in the past? What you do here is going to impact it. Okay. And then they have the least tense battle song ever, but it's very lighthearted. The choreography's, it's very over the top and goofy and kind of slow. I don't know, guess it was secretly a song about making friends, as they're pretty much best buds after this. And so, yeah, the song's good. I liked it. Very silly, fun. But, that's this film. It's silly and it's fun, but it's awesome. The girls then go find Merlin, the headmaster of Merlin Academy. Also, Beast, just renaming the school like that. Poor Merlin. Although maybe that's what he gets for naming a school after himself. And also, this dude clearly does not practice due diligence and just accepts these two as transfer students. No paperwork, no parental consent, no nothing. No wonder they changed the name of the school. This dude's a fool. Although I can't help but think that this makes Beast seem more deeply cringe too. Like, in modern Descendants, magic's all but gone, right? But here, heaps of people are doing magic. This school teaches magic. What's the point in living in a fairy tale world if they strip out the fairy part? Beast, you cringe. Your kingdom's bad and you should feel bad. But I guess we all knew that when he abdicated to his son, who was a minor still in high school. How did Beast even get elected as king? Wasn't it rather clear that most of his life he was a selfish loser living in his castle? What experience could he possibly have ruling a single kingdom, let alone this empire they've made? Also, is it just me, or does Chloe's hair change in volume wildly between scenes? Continuity needs some work there, methinks. But yeah, then they meet the parents. Comrade Ella, who sort of dislikes her own future daughter, who, in fairness, is a bit of a softie, gagging at the whatever the hell that oozing pod thing is, and who also seems to disdain the rich and aristocratic, completely the opposite of what she is later on. And then we have the Queen of Hearts, Bridget, who is a little cinnamon roll type of person, sickly sweet, making treats, being kind, wanting to make friends, giving out hugs. How are you going to bully somebody like that? Pisses me off. Anyway, the song and dance number they do here, what do you know? It's a classic. Who would have thought? The big choreographed dances they do, they're so over the top, but I'm addicted to this shit. What the hell's wrong with me? Why is this movie so good? What is going on? What have they done to me? I mean, is it just me, or is this genuinely just top tier for the type of movie we're watching right now? I'm just happy watching this. It reminds me of when I first watched Enchanted, the original, not the sequel. No, not the sequel. No thanks. Anyway, the highlight of this song was Red vibing with Charming, Chloe's dad. Oh, that was funny. Also, apparently all of these people have been casually taking her treats all the time, but they still aren't her friends. Now I see why she became a dictator in the end. I don't deserve it. And then the villains enter, and they just appear from behind a tree. Were they all lurking there, just watching the whole time? No, trust me, bro. We're going to do a really awesome entrance in just a sec. Just hold on. She just got to finish her next line. Here we go. Also, I got to ask, is there any good reason for them to include this random-ass side character, Uliana, instead of just straight up making her Ursula? Like, what was the point here? Also, Hook! He's just as cringe and over the top as his son from the OG! What are the acting notes for this guy? So I need you to be as bad as possible, to the point that it's distracting. Also, young Hades, he wears that hair so much better than old Hades. Just saying. Then they have a good versus evil dance battle. Bridget just shaking the cupcakes at her. Have one. Have one. This is so silly. How do they keep doing this to me? Why am I enjoying it? Save me. Call the police. Anyway, Uliana swipes a bunch of flamingo feathers, I think they were flamingo feathers, off the cupcakes and overdoses and becomes pink, part flamingo in front of everybody. Which, it's really not that bad. I mean, she already has tentacles. Is a temporary beak the end of the world? Hell, some octopi even have beaks. Why did I Google that? Why do I always Google things I don't really want to see? Ugh. Do you ever have that fear an octopus is going to climb up the toilet and grab you on your ass when you're on the toilet? Or contort itself through the drain? Have you seen those videos where they slip through tiny cracks? I'm just always afraid they're going to come out when I'm having a shower, just grab my feet. Maybe that was TMI. But yeah, she turns back and she swears revenge. And so it becomes clear to our duo that she's going to be the one who sabotages Bridget at the dance and ruins her life, making her a villain. We then get a look at Cinderella's home life, which sucks ass obviously because she is Cinderella. And honestly, of all the scenes, this was probably the one I liked the least. I felt like it was unneeded. I get they needed somebody to give some exposition about how Uliana wants to live up to her sister's villainous legacy. And they needed to have Chloe have a reality check where she realizes her privilege, but I don't know, I just don't think it worked all that well. It was just awkward, especially when the vase breaks and they get kicked out. I don't know, the whole Chloe arc for me, it doesn't hit that well. That's probably the major critique I have. She's very bland and generic, and it's clear they wanted her arc to sort of mirror Ben's, who he learns about, how villains have it and how things are different to how she perceived them. But it's not all there for me. That being said, her later scene with her mum, top tier. Loved it. Moving on, we get the villain song and plan. Decent enough song. Who is the composer of this film? God damn. Just straight fire. But yeah, the plan is they'll give Bridget a cupcake that will turn her into a hideous green beastie, and everybody will point and laugh. Also, we have one of the goofiest and lowest stakes, life-threatening situations ever when Flotsam, or Jetsam, tries to grab at Chloe as they cross the lagoon, and she falls down, she's all, "Oh no, it's gonna get me!" But he's not even close. Stand up! And then Red punts his ass back into the water and he just disappears. So dumb. But that's why we're here. And then we have some more wholesome as Red realizes that Bridget as a mum would be so much better than her actual awful, cruel mum. Yeah, I can feel that, honestly. And it turns out that the cookbook the villains have, and thus the one the heroes need, is a banned one inside Merlin's office. And so they gotta bust in. And so they force conflict for the story by making Chloe an extreme goody-goody to the point that it could sabotage their whole life and future. She wants to tell Merlin, which could get them in big trouble and cause them to miss their chance at saving the day. Come on, kid. And so she goes to see her mum, helps her do some chores, gets some redemption there, and learns about the concept of grey morality and the importance of context. This song is excellent, by the way. This scene really does its job so much better than the one inside the house. And so our heroes team up to get the cookbook, and my god, this scene takes ages. First with them fighting the swords and the owls and the suit of armor, and the whole time it's just grab the book! Come on! And also the way the villains lose from just being trapped by the book, I gotta ask, in the original timeline, how did they manage to read it and then sabotage Bridget if it just freezes you if you have bad intentions? Plot hole much? Because wouldn't they have just gotten trapped considering they tried to read it in the office and the owls probably would have escaped? No? Honestly, this is why I thought it was going to be a misdirect by the film and thus would set up a sequel where the mystery gets even deeper, but yeah. And then Chloe and Red actually read the book inside Merlin's office. That is insane. Just run, girls, run. Why do you need this book? You don't even have to read it. You just have to take it to change history. Why would you risk yourself? It makes no sense. But yeah, they go back, they don't even say goodbye to their friends, and it's all better, and her mum's nice and it's happy, hooray! And I gotta wonder, would their parents be like, holy shit, those two random girls that were there at our school for 2 days are our kids? Would that ever sink in for them, do you think? I kind of hope so. And anyway, in true time travel fashion, they've meddled, and now there's going to be consequences, damn it. But in 2 years, in a sequel. Not now. For now, may I offer you a nice finale song and dance number? So yeah, what the hell? When I thought I had escaped the lure of this franchise, they dragged me back in. Why are these films so damn good? They have legit no right to be this good. And this one was just fun, lighthearted and silly but sweet. It's like a breath mint. A breath mint if it was a movie. It's just refreshing. Also, it was nice that it wasn't obscenely long, only 80 minutes as opposed to over 100 minutes like all the others. I swear one of them went for 2 hours once, my god. The music was top tier, the costumes were way better, especially the wigs, the CGI. Oh, this movie's just glorious. Dank and yet perfect. And teasing more films? Yes, please and thank you. So with all that being said, these have been my opinions and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of The Rise of Red? Did you like it? hate it. I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.